So I decided to do something different this time. I'm going to tell a little story. This is the story of how I handled an entire encounter all on my own in Dungeons and Dragons. So, it all started when I was playing a game called Horde of the Dragon Queen. Basically, in that module, it was about dragons or something. We never got around to finishing it, so I don't really know what happens in that game. So, what happened was we were rescuing a church full of people. Basically, there were around 40 people in there. When we arrived, we found that it was under siege. So we all attacked together and we managed to break our way in through the back door. There was another patrol going around in circles, and we'll get back to them later though. So we walk in, we find a church priestess as well as around 40 people who are pretty much sitting there not doing anything, trying to survive, some of which were wounded. They were attempting to attack through the front door by using a battering ram, and we knew that if they attacked, they would pretty much get in, and there's not much you could do if all the civilians were here. So we came up with a plan to get everybody out through the back door, while we, the players, pretty much just stay there and fight off the army. And I got to be the one to clear the way. So I was playing a half-elf wizard at the time, and I had a poisonous snake familiar. What happened was I sent the snake forward to scout ahead, which apparently there were a bunch of enemies on the other side of the door. Around 6 kobolds and 1 cultist. So I pretty much had to fight them all off by myself, nobody else around, except for the priestess, but she didn't really end up doing anything throughout the fight. So I came up with a plan that was kind of crazy and kind of risky, but if it worked, I would essentially have cleared out the entire back all by myself. So I told the priestess to open the door while I prepared a level 2 Thunder Wave spell. Now my plan was the Thunder Wave would hit all of them, and hopefully they will all fail their saves and they will all die. And if anybody didn't die, I was going to have the poisonous snake attack whoever survived. Alright, so then what happens is the priestess throws open the doors and I immediately cast the spell. Now bear in mind, the Thunder Wave forces everybody to make a Constitution save. Anyone who fails the save takes full damage and is knocked back, while anyone who survives only takes half damage. So what happened was, the minute I cast it, all of them had to take the save. 2 kobolds actually saved, everybody else had failed. But the thing is, I rolled so high on the damage that even half damage was still enough to take out those 2 kobolds who saved. So what happened? All of the bodies, all of the enemies, they all got thrown into the air around 10 feet away. And I ended up destroying all of them in that one spell. And that is the story of how I handled the entire encounter on my own. In a little unrelated story, but this happened in the same game and the same session. A little later on, there was a half-dragon that I was deciding that I wanted to fight. Essentially, he wanted to have a good fight, so he challenged anyone who was willing to come up against him. And what happened was one person wanted to do it, and I basically told him, no, your family needs you more than they need me. Because keep in mind, the half dragon had hostages with him, and those hostages were actually that guy's family. So I decided I was going to attack and fight in his place. My plan was to shoot the Ray of Frost, slow him down by 10 feet each turn, and keep running away until he finally went down. So I spider climbed down the wall, had a little chat with him, talked about the rules, made sure he was going to keep his promise if I somehow won, and I proceeded with my plan. I shot, I ran away, and I kept shooting and running away. This kept on going for like a few turns until finally he managed to close the gap. And when he did, just one swing, boom, 2 hits, down, just like that. And like literally, he was just about to do his breath attack as well, and just like finished me out when I yelled, "I yield! I yield! I yield!" Yeah, and then he decided to spare my life, and that is why you don't mindlessly charge into battle, especially when you're a wizard. Thank you all for watching, my phantoms. I hope you all enjoy this little Dungeons and Dragons special.